Plus, to be a part of your day, Kevin Mill in the morning here on KIDO Talk Radio. Don't forget, coming up this hour, your chance to win several family four-packs of the Canyon County Fair going on now until Sunday in Caldwell. Just drove by the fair yesterday. Lots of fun. You're going to win a family four-pack this hour between now and 8:20 simply by listening when I give you the cue to call caller number 7, as in 1075 FM. For KIDO Talk Radio, caller 7 at 580-5436. You're going to win a family or a friendly four-pack. Joining us now, our great friend Dan Stein of FAIR. Dan, good to have you with us.
Nice to talk to you again, Kevin.
You know, it's reassuring to have you on and others that not only are fighting for America and to keep America the way it is, but can remember a time when socialism and communism were vilified and not pumped up by candidates and young people.
Well, certainly, apparently the data show that millennials and other young folks all think socialism is dandy. Well, not all of them, obviously, but don't seem to be looking at it as an historical failure everywhere it's been tried, but instead is some abstract notion that we should try here.
Yeah, I never thought in America that we would ever have a generation of young people thinking that's the way to go. Could it be the fact that we have a lot of folks coming in that from countries, either legally or most of them illegally, that they know about socialism because those are the countries they've come from? They've come from strong-arm governments where the people are not empowered, the people are persecuted, and that could explain some of it?
No question about the fact that many people coming now as immigrants are coming from countries that don't have a history of tolerance, mutual respect, small r Republican democracy. They maintain, theoretically an allegiance to a strong man or, paternalistic bureaucratic government that tries to provide security at the expense of freedom. And so, a big part of assimilation is helping, newcomers understand what it means to be part of a republic, what's special about the United States and our political philosophy, understanding the founding fathers and what they intended with the Federalist Papers and designing a system of checks and balances, and that this is not about trying to create a utopian perfect state with a top-down set of bureaucrats like a Barack Obama who's trying to make the world perfect for everyone, but instead it's about freedom and liberty and the ability to pursue your own way under a free market capitalist system. So that takes a little time, but a lot of the people who were born here, they've never really been taught about how market systems work, and they haven't been taught the history of failure of communist and socialist governments around the world through time. They have been, force-fed a doctrine, and they're not taught how to think independently. That's how you get something like this Alexandria Orozco-Cortez, of course, of colonial Spanish fame, right, Cortez. And but you listen to her talk and you think, holy cow, have we learned nothing from Venezuela, nothing from Cuba? And that's one of the reasons why immigration needs to be maintained at a low enough level that we can absorb and assimilate, Assimilate, Kevin, the people coming in, instead of allowing one political party to use machine-style politics to try to buy the votes of newcomers by promising them transfer payments.
Dan Stein joining us here from FAIR. We go back to the Immigration Reform Act in the 60s by Ted Kennedy, where it just totally changed the makeup of America. And nobody really voted for that. And coupled with the open borders policy, we're not the nation we were even 10 years ago.
Well, everybody has now heard from Tucker Carlson, who's finally talking about this, that the Democratic Party radically changed in the last 10 years, in part because of changing demographics, the collapse of union labor, and other things that were part of the party base. And now they just want to try to, take political control using a population of people who aren't that well educated and easily manipulated into the idea that the way to make it into America is to ask for government handouts and bailouts. That's really not the American way. It's not the Horatio Alger notion of what being an American is all about, or theoretically at least, that you're supposed to understand that hard work, self-discipline, an innovative, an incentive to do well, make your way, take risks, be entrepreneurial, opportunities that America provides can be shared by all, but if you don't provide people with the education and understanding that this is what makes the country what it is, it transforms the country. And anybody who's listening to Democrat candidates today versus the positions they were taking 10, 15, or even 20 years ago can't help but realize it's not the same political party. And they should listen very closely to these Bernie Sanders kinds of ideas, which are antithetical to human freedom, liberty, innovation, entrepreneurship, inventiveness. You know, that's one of the reasons Trump is so popular in certain parts of the country, is he's restoring the idea of what it is that made America a dominant force all across the world.
Well, certainly contrary to the liberal narrative that we have today, where kids are taught that America is bad, that we've stolen everything. Dan, let's get to the media treatment of these people that have come to the country. They were warned, look, you're going to be separated from your kids. And now we had, an outgoing representative saying that we should financially compensate the people coming into the country illegally that have been lawfully detained and separated from their kids. The media seems to miss the fact that they've broken into the country.
Well, the media don't give anybody, unless you happen to catch 2 seconds at some point in a debate, even a scintilla of understanding of the population, of the policy issues that led us to where we are today. Donald Trump's simply trying to enforce the immigration law. And the immigration law makes it very clear you can't cross the border without inspection. If you have no right to enter the U.S., you cannot enter the U.S. That Trump, when he said, look, if you violate our immigration law, you're going to get prosecuted. And, of course, we have these judicial settlements that should be allowed to be reopened because they're proving unworkable, that require that minors be released after 20 days. But if you want to prosecute the parents, you got to do something with the minors. And you can't detain minors with parents in federal prison. So you put them in some other kind of detention or some kind of halfway house until you can find a guardian. And that court decision is part of the core problem. You know, in the end, our asylum laws itself have been dramatically expanded now to include people who claim they're fleeing gang violence and domestic violence and all kinds of things that were never intended. Attorney General Sessions has re-narrowed the definition back to what historically was known as bona fide political persecution on the basis of political ideology or race or religion or some other thing. And then the other day, Congress in the appropriations bill, this fellow Yoder from Kansas, Republican, allows a Democrat to put into the appropriations bill language that restores this crazy, wild definition of asylum that practically everybody in El Salvador and Nicaragua would make them eligible to qualify for, at a minimum, to get past what's called the credible fear determination when they make the claim at the border so they can get into the country for 3 or 4 years waiting before they ever get their hearing, their formal asylum hearing. This whole thing needs to be fixed by Congress. But to listen to the media, you don't hear anything about, like, why did this happen the way it is? What are the policy factors that cause it? Do we have any public interest in trying to ensure people don't game the asylum system to just get passed through the port of entry and then get into the country for several years? And then why should we taxpayers have to chase all these people down years after the fact, only to produce another news story, saying, oh, my gosh, this person, everybody who's, come in contact with thinks is fabulous. How can you possibly deport them? It's absolutely absurd way to make policy. And the news media just seem to actually don't want people to understand what the policy choices are.
Dan Stein joining us from FAIR. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Dan, you know this. That's why every year you invite talk show hosts across the country to hold their feet to the fire. We're very blessed to be going once again to Washington. When we,
can't wait to see you.
Look, you are always fired up, and I love keeping track of you between your radio interviews, your TV interviews, and trying to keep everybody sane. But in that spectrum, how do we make sure that we don't get double-crossed by the Republicans that seem to be yearning to make a deal on this and let it all go away and make the country worse?
Look, this is a core problem, Kevin. Trump went out and promised the American people a whole lot of really important good things on immigration policy, things that are long overdue, things people have waited for 40 years. E-Verify, interior enforcement, state and local cooperation, border security, physical structures on the border where they're needed, right? Sensors and other things. Reforming the court system so that every alien doesn't get O.J. Simpson's procedural process as part of a removal proceeding. I mean, it's a civil removal proceeding. You either have a right to be here or you don't. And all these kinds of things, the Republican Congress can't seem to bring any of those things to the floor and actually pass them. On the other hand, through the dead of night, we constantly see these provisions stuck in at the behest of big employers, cheap labor employers, and various other special interest groups that are just, basically grinding the face of the American worker once more. The political power of these very influential groups, Chamber of Commerce, the agricultural growers, and others, seem to be more than willing to work on common cause with the left wing to try to torpedo these enforcement initiatives. And then you have the ACLU and others, and you'd say, wow, you would think the Republican Congress would want to work hard to close the loopholes that the ACLU seems to be blasting with various court decisions that leave the laws unenforced or unenforceable. And yet nothing happens. They can't bring themselves to pass anything that takes an enlarged view of the national interest. But they're more than happy to put through, more H-1B workers, more H-2A workers, which are agricultural workers, more H-1B workers, more visas for this, removing the per-country limits. People who came here from countries like India as H-1B workers were supposed to be admitted for short-term, unforeseeable emergent conditions until U.S. workers could be trained to do the jobs. Instead, those H-1B workers have been here like 12 years, 15, 16 years, and now they're complaining that, even though so many people have come from India on these programs, first some Republicans are saying, well, their kids have been here a long time, they should get a track to green card. And then they're turning around, and of course, contrary to what Trump has been trying to do, and then they turn around and they add, they want to remove the per-country limits on green cards for these workers, even though nobody ever promised them that becoming as an H-1B meant you were going to get to stay permanently as an immigrant. And they're transforming these temporary worker programs into, a track to green card status. And everybody asks themselves, Kevin, why are wages flat in this country? Robust economy, big GDP numbers, everybody working, right, who wants to work, but nobody's getting a raise. Why is nobody getting a raise? Because workers have no bargaining leverage, because these programs allow employers to replace them with foreign workers.
Hey, Dan, how do we get the emotional argument out of it? Because, look, in Twin Falls, Idaho, I couldn't believe it. The city council there, which they have enough to do, they voted not to have a resolution condemning the policy of the administration concerning families. So the next week, you had protesters showing up in aluminum foil blankets and all the sorts, and screaming and yelling and disrupting the entire meeting. And I'm thinking, what the heck is going on? We're not even at the border here, and yet instead of having a rational discussion, it's more like mob rule.
It's political theater, well financed by George Soros' operation and others, which are part of a political attack. I mean, this is an effort. Remember, look, the Democrats are getting their clock cleaned on the immigration issue. They lost this last presidential election, in part because Hillary abandoned the immigration. She doubled down on Obama's radical immigration policies. And, of course, Trump also emphasized trade. So trade and immigration were the major factors that allowed him to take those formerly blue states, and win the election. He switched all these Obama voters from 2012 to Trump voters in 2016 on that issue. So out of sheer desperation, and obviously part of party politics, I mean, look at it. These are orchestrated demonstrations around the country, coordinated through social media, through things like Organizing for America and other things that get all this Soros money, that are professionally organized to try to create an issue and keep it in the news. And that's what they've been doing, this and Russia. I mean, how does a guy like Michael Cohen wind up getting represented by political hack lawyer Lanny Davis, who's basically the Clintons' lawyer? I mean, come on. People have to, clear the eyewash away and take a look at what's happening. These political attacks are simply that. They're not interested in having a policy debate. They're not interested about what's good for the country in the future. They're interested in playing games with the American public psyche.
Well, you're the cure for that, Dan Stein.
Well, I don't know about that. You should ask my wife.
Dan, if people want more information, what can they do?
Well, fairus.org. That's fairus.org. Sign up, join up. Doesn't cost anything to get our email action alerts and participate in everything that we are doing. And obviously, we have a lot of folks coming to big Radio Row. This is probably going to be the largest single Radio Row event on an issue in the history of the country. And coming at a great time, a lot of great guests, and keeping our fingers crossed that we'll have millions of Americans listening as well.
We'll do our very best, Dan. We appreciate being part of the team.
Kevin, you're my man.
Take care, sir. Thank you, Dan.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, why don't we do this? Caller number 7, you're going to win that family 4-pack for the Canyon County Fair, courtesy of your friends here at KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Congratulations to Sonny and Eagle winning that family 4-pack to the Canyon County Fair. Before long, it will be the Canyon County Kids Expo. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning here on KIDO Talk Radio. Still chances to win. Lots of chances to win. We've got 2 more 4-packs to give away between now and 9 o'clock. Listen for your chance to win coming up. Phone numbers here, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. We're joined now by the GDP of the Treasure Valley, Tea Party Bob. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Miller. So GDP came in at 4.1, and once again, the prophecy of the Trump presidency is coming to fruition before our very eyes, and the libs are going nuts. Now, we're on track for a great run. We are on a great track here for America economically. That will help the Republicans in the November election. I don't think anyone really cares about Trump's extramarital affairs, as long as he's doing the job he was elected to do. And if you want to look at extramarital affairs, then you have to look no further than our good old friend, Mr. Bill Clinton, who makes Donald Trump look like a choir boy. When you look at how the economy is growing, and we have so many more jobs now than workers, the important thing that matters to voters is that they have more money in their pockets to spend, not who Trump is sleeping with. They don't care about that. Keep in mind the last time we had
who Trump slept with.
It doesn't matter. Does it really matter? And is it anybody's business but his?
I would challenge you on that.
You can challenge me all you want. I don't think it's anybody's business.
But we had a gentleman yesterday who called in and echoed a lot of thoughts that people in Idaho have about Donald Trump. Maybe not as much as they had, as you recall, sir, during the primary, where they like what he said. They just didn't like his mannerisms.
And that may be true of some people. And I find that in the much older category, or the uninformed category, or those who really don't understand a heck of a lot about economics, like Terry.
Ooh.
Keep in mind, the last time we had over 4% GDP growth was in the year 2000, 18 years ago.
That's what I thought.
Does anybody remember that? That's also probably around the last time we had a rise in wages.
It's probably about the last time I was under 300 pounds.
Well, look, it's time for everybody to get on a bandwagon here. The train's leaving the station. We've got a good economy going here, and we need to keep it there. And the only way we're going to do that is to keep the Republicans in and keep Trump at the helm of the ship. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much for your show.
That was it?
Well, I'm kind of short today. I got a dog that's screaming to go out on a walk.
In this weather?
Oh, are you kidding? It's beautiful out right now.
All right. Words to live by.
Hey, listen, you have yourself a wonderful weekend. Maybe we'll see you.
Maybe we will see you.
That sounds good to me.
All right. Our great friend, Tea Party
Take
Bob.
care.
See you too. Corey joins us now from Nampa on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Good morning, Corey.
Good morning, Kevin. I just wanted to say that gentleman that was just on about, I think his name was Dan.
Dan Stein,
about
yes. Right.
Yeah, talking about the Appropriations Committee. Mike Simpson was on the committee. He voted for that catch and release. Did you know that?
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I'm very unhappy. Anyway, I just wanted to tell you.
Well, thank you for letting us know about that, and we appreciate you listening to KIDO Talk Radio, Corey. You call in anytime.
Thank you. You're wonderful.
All right. You too. Take
All
care.
right.
Bye-bye.
Aloha.
Traffic and weather together. Kevin Miller in the morning here, KIDO Talk Radio. Coming up next, your chance to win not one, but 2 family 4-packs before 9 a.m., before Glenn Beck. All you have to do is keep it right here. Listen to us, Kevin Miller Mornings, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Maggie. Thank you, Sean Hannity. Privileged to have you on our station. We go to Michelle Polino, Fox News from La La Land, Los Angeles. On KIDO Talk Radio, Michelle, good morning.
Good morning.
All right. I know we're going to talk about Hillary Clinton on Madam Secretary and Sean Hannity and Roseanne, but I have one word for you.
Go ahead.
Shazam.
I have one word. Really? I was like, okay. Not that we can't do Shazam, but I was a little surprised at the pick. I don't see him in the role, and I'm still having a problem seeing him in the role. Your thoughts?
I got to tell you, as a kid who grew up on the old Shazam series on television, you can YouTube it with Captain Marvel and all that. I think that DC once again is doing a shortcut. Instead of being authentic, they're going to Spider-Man. They're going to create Shazam as their own Spider-Man type character.
Yeah. I was really disappointed.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't necessarily think that it's the right. I don't think it's the right cast, Zachary Levi, I think they're kind of poking fun at it instead of going, like you said, down the natural route of the character, and which I too loved Shazam growing up, and this doesn't feel authentic.
Yeah,
and you can be authentic and have fun, Iron Man. You know what I mean?
Michelle, for people of a certain age, generation, Shazam and ISIS were Saturday morning dramas.
That's right.
In between the cartoons, and I think there's an audience that would resonate with that. And the whole Captain Marvel thing is fascinating, based on the fact that Marvel Comics owns it because Captain Marvel actually was a copyright infringement from Superman, and we could get lost in the minutia. But
right.
Some people do it right, and some people, they kind of do it. What about your boy Tom Cruise at 56? People are saying this could be the biggest Mission Impossible of all time.
He doesn't disappoint, this guy. He really doesn't when it comes to, he found his genre, action films. He found it. He gives 180% of his being to this character. And you feel it in every shot. In every moment of film, you feel that. And I think that really draws audiences in, don't you think?
Well, and there's a difference between Jack Reacher and Ethan Hunt. Ethan Hunt, yes. There's a difference in his characters, and who else in Hollywood would do their own stunts, finance their own projects, direct their own stuff, considering that Tom Cruise has accomplished so much.
Yeah, I know. I would really urge anyone, if they're interested at all, to go online and find the behind the scenes shots of him doing his own stunts. You will be amazed at this guy at 56, how much control he has over every ounce of his body. And when he's going down in that helicopter, you're like, he's in that freaking helicopter. He's doing it. He's doing the stunt. And extraordinary to see him place his life on the line just to get this shot, you know?
Well, you go back to one of the recent Mission Impossibles when he's hanging on the plane. I don't know
Oh, God.
how anybody could do that. And I guess this one, he jumps out of a plane at a high altitude. And
Yeah, but Google Tom Cruise helicopter stunt. It's extraordinary because he's literally driving that helicopter down, and one false move from Cruise, and he's gone. It's extraordinary. Extraordinary. Mission Impossible Fallout in theaters this weekend, and it will do really well. You're going to see some big box office numbers.
Finally, Hillary Clinton on Madam Secretary. Is this life imitating art?
Well, it's not just going to be Hillary. It's going to be Madeleine Albright. It's going to be Colin Powell. So it's the character Tia Leone going and reaching out to the former secretaries of state in the show, in the season premiere. So it's not all going to be about Hillary. Thank God. And so it's really it's hopefully there's not going to be any digs in there as well, because I think America is getting really frustrated with Hollywood right now,
well,
to say the least.
Let me get you out on this one. Game of Thrones. What do you hear?
January, February 2019, we should see a premiere. I'm thinking probably after the Oscars. So to get that out of the way, I think it'll probably late February, early March. They say early 2019. I would guess they would wait until after the Oscars, the big Oscar deal, and then just throw it out.
I mean, can it really live up to the hype of?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Well, yeah, I do have people on the set, so yes. Yes, I know people that work on the show. So
well, that's the funniest thing. They don't even know what's going to happen because the security is insane apparently, and I don't know if they're shooting like 3 or 4 endings or 3 or 4 this, that, and the other. I guess
it's really it's. I think people are going to be so thrilled with it. It's one of those shows that it's ending right when it should, but it's also going to end in such a bloodbath that you're going to be like, what was that? That's something I know for sure.
Well, it'll be fun to see who survives.
If anybody.
Kind of like entertainment.
So true. So true.
Michelle Pollino, we appreciate you. Your folks in Philly would be proud of you as always. We love having you on.
All right. Have a great weekend.
All right. You too. Michelle Pollino joining us. Kevin Miller in the morning here. We're going to do this for our last couple of pairs, actually family 4-packs. If you're just tuning in, we're giving away family 4-packs to the Canyon County Fair this weekend. What do you have to do? Well, you've got to get here before 5 o'clock today, right? Because the fair only goes till Sunday. Callers 10 and 12, I'll give you the cue to call at 580-5436. We're going to do it at the same time, but callers 10 and 12, 580-5436. We will give you a chance to win those tickets. By the way, when we talk about the battle of socialism, recently we had a reporter from Campus Reform go out and talk to young people why they like socialism.
Freak out when they hear the word socialism like applied to anything.
And why do you think that is?
I think there's this old way of thinking about it.
What do you think the government should be subsidizing? So her platform includes free health care, college tuition, minimum living wage, housing as a human right. Are those things that you think the government should be providing for people?
Absolutely.
Are those things that you would support?
Yes, it is.
Are those all things that you would support the government subsidizing?
100%.
Or I feel like everyone should have free education and health care.
How are we going to pay for those?
Oh, God. I mean...
Us,
I guess.
Yeah. Who, in your mind, should pay for all of the free things?
All of the free things? Well, some of it should come from taxes, but the government should pay for it.
But the government is funded by taxes.
Yeah.
I don't know where the money would come from, but They can figure it out.
Okay. More taxes on the rich people.
Yeah, for sure, man. Like, they can afford it.
Tax corporations, let's tax the 1% and find a way to support a living wage.
The people with a good idea and a good reason to spend their tax money wouldn't mind actually paying more taxes.
There are so many of these countries out there.
No, that's right. You wouldn't mind paying more taxes, right? Sure.
That are employing a lot more socialism in their government and into their politics, and they're doing really well. So,
Is Venezuela doing that?
ooh, I don't know too much about Venezuela, honey. I think they need to. I mean, are they still communists right now?
Much more of your reaction, young people, and they're embracing socialism. Dwight, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio with Kevin Miller. Hello, Dwight.
Good morning, Kevin. The last bit you just played would be a great thing for us to do here in town, on the street. Kevin, our president is being attacked relentlessly. And too many conservatives are saying, well, I'm just so tired of this. I'm just so tired of this. When's it going to stop? It's never going to stop because we're not fighting back. Conservatives need to be on the street, be in certain venues here in town. Not violently fighting back and avoiding the Antifa thugs, but we need to be protecting our president, speaking up for him. It is cowardly and unmanly and pathetic and a sin for us to sit on our derrieres while Donald Trump alone, fights this battle. There's a lot of things that we can do that are powerful. We can talk about the Obama corruption. We can talk about the Clinton corruption, the Clinton murders, the Clinton lies, the $100 million bribe from Russia. We can talk about the DOJ and the FBI corruption. We can be in front of the building where the DOJ and the FBI are located here. We can put all of this stuff and more on video, and we can press release the hell of it out of all around the country. And I believe that right here in Boise, if people will get off their squishy conservative ways, their tea-pussy ways where we just talk about problems but we have no solutions, we don't do anything, we will get out and take action. We can turn on other groups all around the country, and we can win this. And if we don't try, we are pathetic, and we deserve the loss of this president, and we deserve the tyranny that will follow. So I am asking people to please think about this and call in. If you're on the same wavelength, call in and say so. I talk to people who say they agree, but I never hear people calling in and calling for action. We need leadership, and I'm not a leader, but there are leaders out there. I do know what leadership is. Leadership is getting people to go out, and people who are doing nothing, to go out and do effective action. And no, I am not talking about violence. Here's another thing that I notice. People who don't want to do anything always misinterpret a call for action as a call to some kind of illegal action. I'm talking about legal, smart, fun action, doing something more than talking to each other on the radio. Your thoughts, please.
I agree. Dwight. We appreciate your passion. And again, we have a forum here. Let's take advantage of it. Let's show people that we support the president and everything he's about. This is what's at stake. As Dwight has said, you have people embracing socialism, embracing taxing us, wherever you live. I don't think that you can say that you don't pay enough in taxes, do you? It's a form of indentured servitude, right? That's really what it's become. And we have to wake up. We have to get people out of the matrix and actually do something. Pro-Life joins us now at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Pro-Life.
Yeah, Tea Party Bob, I usually always agree with him, but sexual morals do mean something. You know, when President Clinton got away with being adulterous, and that teaches other people in the nation, the children growing up, hey, I don't have to follow God's sexual morals. I can just do whatever I want, and I can still succeed. And that's something that's being taught. And, it'd be nice if President Trump would just say, listen, I did this and I was wrong, and I apologize. I apologize to God. I broke the commandments, but I don't know if he has the ability to do that. He doesn't maybe have the faith to do that, but we need to keep God's sexual morals in perspective. We need to always do that, and our nation has lost that ability, and it's really harming us. It's, when a child grows up and doesn't have any ability to gain God's sexual morals, and because everybody's sexually immoral, we're Sodom and Gomorrah, and that's when you can get destroyed regardless of how hard you work, or maybe how, supposedly Christian or politically conservative, economic conservative you are. Sexual morals mean a lot.
Yes,
and,
you are correct.
So that's my message, I guess, for the day, and God bless all of the callers. We need somebody to call in except us regular guys. I don't need to call in, so you can have my time anytime.
You're ceding your time. Boy, that's the first time that's happened.
Well, hey, I'll do it every day.
In talk radio history.
If there's a big lineup, hey, I'll just not call in.
Thank you, Pro-Life. Have a great day.
All right, we'll see you.
580-5436, 580-KIDO. Caller number 10, caller number 12. You win those family 4-packs to the Canyon County Fair, courtesy of Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning here. Congratulations. It's almost a sweep, except for Sunny and Eagle. Another winner in Caldwell, Valerie. She won our family 4-pack. And John in Meridian. So if you're calling in, sorry, we've given away our last family 4-pack. Valerie in Caldwell and John in Meridian. But if it hadn't been for John and Sunny of Eagle and John of Meridian, we would have had a clean sweep of Caldwell calls winning that big prize. By the way, for those of you that have known someone who was involved in the Korean War, a very significant event has happened today.
The return, it's believed to be, of the remains of those 55 U.S. service members killed and missing in the Korean War. Transport caskets, really wooden boxes with those remains, were picked up by an Air Force cargo plane this morning, Korea time, from North Korea, where they were handed over, brought back to a U.S. air base in South Korea. And yes, they were draped in those UN flags, as that was the command that the American troops were fighting under at the time. UN honor guards, U.S. military greeting them. The remains will be examined at the base. In the past, North Korea has passed off other remains as Americans, and then they will be sent next Wednesday to Hawaii for further final DNA identification, forensic identification. Frankly, that could take months, maybe years, before getting back to the families that have long, long wished for their return.
Let's hope that North Korea actually has some honor and returns those remains. Time for traffic and weather together. And I'm Kevin Miller, thanking you once again for tuning in. Don't go anywhere, though. Glenn Beck is next, followed by Dave Ramsey. Who knows what Sean Hannity's going to do? He's all over everything. We pumped up about Sean, Lars as well. Ramai, great job as always. So appreciate everybody listening. May God bless you and your family, and please keep the faith.